And so this is another slightly tongue-in-cheek slide, but it also slightly reflects reality. Variation on my earlier slide. When you start out, typically on a technology company, you sort of go, I've got all this technology to do, and there's just a bit of other stuff. Somehow or other, the reality turns out to be there's a bit of technology and there's a load of other. And actually the other stuff is the bigger percentage of the time. So I've taken DSL as an example. Coming out with the modem, coming out with the basic technology, it was very straightforward to say, yep, there's this technology and there's just a bit of other stuff and you can just install it and off you go. Unfortunately, BT had to retrain all of their engineers to understand all of this IP and protocol and understand the intricacies of the technology. They had to work out how to bill it, so there was many other things, and that all helped delay when the technology would be ready for market. And I suppose, as it says in the second line, you really need to consider all of the things that you need to do to take that technology from being the proof of concept to being a product.
So, I mean, when we look at companies, I mean, this is one of the most, if you're thinking about starting a business, this is one of the most important lessons that you can learn. That there's the thing that you have in mind that you're going to make that's going to be great and change the world. But don't forget, there's a whole pile of other stuff that has to go along with it to make a real product. And one of the guys who first articulated this idea was a man named Bill Davidow, who was he started a venture capital firm in Silicon Valley, but prior to that he was the VP of marketing at Intel, and he distinguished between the device, the actual microprocessor they built, and the product. And he wrote a book called High Tech Marketing, which is a bit dated now, but is worth reading. And this is a really important idea. Just because you think you've created the next big thing, there's a lot more that goes into it to build a credible business and product around it.
So, as Shari said at the beginning, e-readers, first products came out onto the market in 2006, about the time that Plastic Logic started to think about e-readers, and they've grown quarter on quarter since that time. So they're the only consumer product segment which I think has grown in volume quarter on quarter.
This year, I think in the United States, there will be 2 to 3 million electronic readers sold. So it's really a market that's been taking off.
As Henning's already described the product, it's not actually going to look like this. You'll see something a little later which gives you a glimpse of what it's going to look like, but we're not allowed to show you the full product yet. In order to launch the product, we've had to look at the whole system, so this relates to the earlier slide. It's not just here's the hardware product which you hold in your hand. We've got a content platform, so you can deliver books, magazines, and we've got content providers lined up. So ones that we've announced are the Financial Times, USA Today, which is an American newspaper. We've got AT&T as the 3G network provider for the product, which has got 3G and Wi-Fi. Barnes & Noble is the web front end, and Olive Production takes newspaper content and reformats it specifically for our machine. So it makes it very easy for content providers to deliver content in the format that they want. One of the important things about our device is that it's got a large screen, which means that content owners can maintain their brand by maintaining their paper view onto their e-reader view. And that's very important. It's not just, so the FT is pink, but it doesn't have to be pink, but you recognize it by how it's laid out. So if you read some of the e-readers, things like the page numbers change, so that you've broken everybody's mental model of how a book works, because you use page numbers to navigate. So one of the important factors of our book, because we've got a large screen and of our UI, is that it maintains the navigational metaphors that you're used to.